Ew, ew. Big fish shit. All right, right to it. When it comes to pricing your product and figuring out what category your product is going to fall in, let's say we have the high end, low end, and then the middle. It's better to be either on the high end or the low end. Why? Because you're not going to confuse your consumers. When you're in the middle, you can confuse your consumers, and I'll give you an example how. Let's look at BMWs, Mercedes, Lexus, Range Rover, which are all seen as high-end luxury cars. And then let's look at maybe a Kia or a Hyundai, who have more so been seen as more affordable cars. When it comes to the high-end cars, we know that they're relying on a higher profit margin. Let's say for even like the more expensive cars like the Range Rover, the Bentleys, we know that they're relying on a higher profit margin because they're not going to sell as many products as the ones that are more affordable. The companies that are more affordable, when your product is less, your profit margin is probably less. So therefore, you need to make sure that you're selling a lot of your products. Now, I'm not sitting here saying one is better than the other. What I am saying are high and low are both better than being in the middle. And I'll give you an example why. Hyundai. Now, when Hyundai first came out, they were seen as a more affordable car company. What's the problem with that? The problem is now they have cars that are actually luxurious. They cost a good amount. They cost just as much or more as some of the Beamers, the Benzes, and the Lexuses. But would I buy one if it's going to cost more than those cars, even if it's nicer? Because as consumers, we don't make logical decisions. We make emotional decisions. So when I make that emotional decision of what it's going to feel like when I'm sitting in that Beamer, when I'm sitting in that Range, sitting in that Lexus, it's a different feeling than when I'm sitting in that Hyundai, perhaps. I'm only saying that for me because when Hyundai first came out, that's what they were known for. So in my head, that is how I still perceive them. We don't want to create that confusion. Either be on the lower end or be on the higher end. Now, most products that sell on the higher end, they're not relying on quantity as much as the lower end products. The companies on the higher end, if your product's on the high end, you're relying more on a higher profit margin. So therefore, you know that you need to maximize your dollar amount per product, per sale, because you're not going to sell as many. Now on the lower end, to keep your price low, you'll most likely decrease your profit margin when compared to the higher end products. Why? Because you want to make sure that you're selling your product as low as possible because you need to sell a higher quantity. Now, one, like I said, is not better than the others, neither here nor there. I just think that they're both better, and no, not think. They are both better than being in the middle because you can confuse your consumers. And the number one rule, I just identify as the number one rule. I'm saying it's the number one rule in branding, marketing, product placement, whatever you want to call it, is not confusing your consumer, not confusing your target audience. So be on the high end, be on the low end, but just don't be in that middle. Being in the middle is like playing both sides. That never works. All right. Big fish shit. Have a good Monday. I said last week, make that your best Monday so it could be your best week. Let's step it up today. Let's finish everything that we said we would. Let's make sure that we're checking off that list and getting to it. All right. Big fish shit. Ew.